High school is a really important age for study abroad because students, they're really pushing boundaries and they're trying to figure out who they are and what's important to them.
Many of the trips do go to places where students are able to practice their language, and for them that's a really obvious piece that they can connect to. Once they get there, they often realize that committing to the process of working in a language, even when it's not easy, allows them access to people, families, friends, communities.
Definitely the language barrier did play a lot into it because I was constantly trying to figure out ways to compensate for the fact that I couldn't communicate in the way I was used to.
Most of the students coming, they had a year or two Chinese with me. So we encourage students who didn't have any background to go. This is like cultural exposure.
Chongqing is kind of next to a province, Sichuan, and Sichuan is known for making a lot of spicy food.
Very spicy foods.
So when we say that the high school for a week, or when we say with homestay, they would want us to try really spicy stuff, and it was some of the spiciest food I ever had.
I'd pick up a word here and there and sort of formulate sentences just using the words that I knew, and that helped a lot. You don't have to know the language completely. You'll just use what you know, and eventually you'll be able to communicate using vocabulary that you actually know and can pick up from speakers.
In addition to learning the language in the classroom, they take the opportunity to do some sort of internship, for example, work for a local government, for a local hospital, for a local school, and get more experience in what's happening out there.
We spent the time there working on farm work and doing a little bit of adobe construction, which we learned at our other month spent in Condega, where we took a class with other people from Nicaragua and from around the world, learning about natural construction.
Going with no expectations is really important, and appreciate every moment. Look at the landscape and see how different it is from Putney.
I find it causes students to begin to have to redefine their mental map of how the world works. And so one of the values I see in offering experiences abroad for students is that by placing them in a different environment and a different culture, it causes them to question all of the assumptions that they have, sometimes consciously but often unconsciously, assumed about how the world works, about how their culture works, how their family works.
Sophie's never been in a big school her whole experience. But you very quickly adjusted to that too, not necessarily embracing it in, wow, this is so great, I love this kind of an educational setting, but I think maybe treating it more as a sociological study of, okay, I'm here to experience something different. I'm not here to learn math or history.
Coming back has been hard, or harder than I expected, just because I go from having this amazing, rich experience where I'm constantly challenged and constantly uncomfortable, but completely comfortable in being uncomfortable.
About 20% of our students come from overseas, and that experience of traveling is exhausting, it's inspiring, it's hard to translate all the time, and when our domestic students go overseas and have that experience for themselves, they get it, and they become more understanding and more inclusive. So in the end, our study abroad trimesters benefit the whole community in making us a more inclusive and understanding and globally minded place.
It was an experience that you just can't get anywhere else, and